Hello, it's me, Raj Garcia, and I'm back. I'm back on YouTube, and I'm going to tell you in today's video why I'm back and what is going to be the purpose of these videos going forward. So, to dive right in, number one, I've had a massive transformation journey. I've been all around the world, I haven't really been filming, right? Peruvian jungles, Mexico, sitting in hot steam rooms. Well, they call them temazcals. I've been to Taiwan, Japan again, India, all sorts. So to start this off, I really just want to give you um, three key insights that I've learned in these past few years, right? Maybe there's going to be more than three, but three feels like it's intuitively going to be a good number right now. So number one I've learned is there are way more important things than money, and that's happened because I've had some losses. I don't feel comfortable telling you about it right now, but I might in a future video. Let's just say that I've learned the hard way that money and the representation of pain that comes with money isn't as important as we think. They have interviewed, I think someone did this, they interviewed old dying people, people who are close to the end. And one of the number one things they said was, I wish I didn't worry so much about money. I wish I lived my life and, took risks and not let money get in the way. And it's easier said than done, right? We need money to live. I don't want to make this sound like it's nothing. We need money to eat, to live, to have the experiences. How else have I traveled around the world? I paid for flights, right? And I'll be really honest with you, I look for the cheapest deals. You might do the same. I still do that. Doesn't matter how much money I have, I'll still look for deals. I'll still stay in places that are not stupidly expensive. That allows my money to go long, right? So yeah, I have money. Yeah, I have work for money. Yeah, I charge for things that I provide. But I realize it's not the most important thing, and I was never really a money chaser. But in the back of my mind, there will always be these like concerns about I can't spend that much on this, even though I really want to and I want it. I can't do that, right? Or no, I shouldn't do that. Or like, why is that so expensive? I'll look for cheap alternatives. And sometimes it's fine, right? You find cheaper alternatives. I'll do it all the time and it's great. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it's not, right? Sometimes we spend way more time and energy needed than paying for things, right? So, I guess really the story is changing the whole money dialogue, right? So that money doesn't necessarily equal suffering or limiting myself, right? And money doesn't cause these problems in my health, right? Because I know it can. And I guess that gently leads us on to number two, the health, the energy body, as I like to teach it in yogic science. The energy body and the vehicle that we live in is the most important thing. And here's the things that I've learned mistakes, you can call them, or lessons. Pushing my body too far, going and working out and doing the thing I've always done, which is lift really heavy weights, and overdone it. And I've asked myself, why did I do that? What was the need for that? Right? And yeah, lifting a certain amount of resistance is good. It helps strengthen the bones, etc. Pushing it too far from the mind and some kind of like stuff that I haven't dealt with, or there's better ways for me to release that tension instead of hurting myself. That's probably what I'd call lesson number two, actually, hurting myself, right? Hurting myself physically so that it's affecting my health, right? Putting things into my system that I know are not good for me. I've done it, even though I'm the health nerd and I know all the stuff, right? Still, there's times where there's like, oh, quickly, let's just eat something, and then eating my food so fast in between, like 5 minutes, let's quickly stuff this down my face, so I've got it in my body, right? So what I've realized through certain practices is we don't actually need as much food as we think. And actually, what we need is things that comply with the body, right? Things that aren't causing problems. That's been a big lesson for me on the road. The thing I've done really well at is I've carried a blender with me, right? So I carry a portable blender. I don't have it here, but I would show you. It's a portable blender. Carry it, I put it into my luggage. I get all sorts of funny questions about it. People see me, I'll be like sometimes blending something up in a hotel lobby, right? People are like, "What are you doing? You got a blender? Wow!" And they're usually like admiring that. They're like, "Wow, you take your health really seriously." I'm like, I do, because if I can get my blender and I mix up all the stuff that I want, like dates, bananas, spinach, beetroots, carrots. I've got a whole recipe if you'd like it. Comment below if you want the recipe, and I'll send you a written document that has a recipe, right? If I nail that, everything is good. So I got these principles. That's what I learned. Follow your principles, right? I followed my principles for health, but then there was times, like I said, where I was breaking those rules and I was eating things that are not compliant. And then you notice in the body, right, there's tension, there's anxiety. Where's this anxiety coming from? It's not always that deep, right? We don't always have to analyze everything from the mind. Sometimes it's a vehicle thing, right? The fuel. So that's the thing I learned. Health is so important, looking after it. Like looking after it in the simplest of ways. Sometimes I notice I'll be getting angry or tense, and it's because I haven't slept like a little baby. I need to rest my own head, put my head down for a bit, right? Or do what I do, which is the hack, which is to practice yoga nidra. And if you want one of my tracks, it's 1,000 people have sat there commenting. That surprised me. 1,000 people have reviewed it and put their comments and told me what it meant for them and what they've done, what it's helped them with. Right? I was surprised. I put this track out like 4 years ago, and I got 1,000 people, and I think it's like 40,000 views. People listen to it. It's people every single day. I don't even know who they are sometimes, most of the time, listening to me before bed or when they feel stressed, right? So if you want that track, also comment below. I will happily share that with you, because whenever I feel like I can't, fully rest or I'm exhausted, I'll do a 10-minute routine or I'll do 20 minutes of lying down yoga nidra. And the funny thing is, people like Andrew Huberman, who all these geeks are like laughing, they're like, yeah, Huberman podcast. He's talking about it, right? He's done studies and they call it non-sleep deep rest now to change the word so it doesn't sound like yoga, so it doesn't sound like some kind of mystical thing. They've made it secular, let's call it. But yeah, doing things like that, I do it when I need it, when I realize I'm exhausted. At times I forgot, right? And I was like, why am I so tense? All right, let me go do this. And I realize I need rest. I need rest, my health. How am I hurting myself? Like I said, how am I hurting myself versus how can I nurture myself? So that's number two. And number three, it surprised me even how important this is. It's actually connecting with great energetic vibrations of other humans. Like-minded people, we might call that connection, sharing. Doesn't have to be with everyone and anyone. There's certain people I don't want to be around, right? There's certain people you might not watch on YouTube. You're just not interested. You might see someone and you say, I'm just not interested in that. And then someone else you'll connect and you'll say, wow, there's something about this. I get messages like this sometimes, like, Raj, I've heard your talks and, I want to hear more about your work, or I've read your book, or I've listened to your meditations. And they've said things like, I haven't heard anything like this before. And that's not true, because there's loads of things out there, right? Similar things people might be doing like me, but what they mean is they're connecting to me energetically. And I've had the same in my travels, I've had the same in life overall, where I've had an energetic connection. Sometimes it's within the first 5, 10 seconds of speaking to someone, right? Sometimes it's longer when I hear something about them. I'm like, oh, you surprised me there. Now we're really connecting, you know? There's an art to it. There's an art of connection. And it comes when we have certain things in common or we face similar challenges, or we're on the same existential path right now. Like in Bali, when I'd meet someone who's riding around in their motorbike and, they're trying to build some kind of business. They're prioritizing freedom and health. I like those kind of people, and I spent so much time being a yogi saying I don't need that stuff. I'm a yogi, I meditate and I'm in bliss. And that's true. I want you all to have that, to be autonomous, to not need to rush around. Now, this is the other extreme end. I have to be around people. I have to. I feel weird when I'm alone. I don't want you to feel that. And at the same time, I want everyone to have this connection because this is what I found. It's meaningful. No matter if I'm in the most beautiful places in the middle of Japan, sometimes I felt alone, right? I felt like, wow, this is amazing. And I feel a bit alone. I felt a strange feeling. And I take those feelings, those discomforts, and I say, well, this is actually moving me towards what I really want, signaling in my body, right? It's not a mental thing, is it? All these things I'm talking about, they're not mental. The mental usually blocks us off and chases us down all these other paths. That's what I've seen anyway. It's a felt sense, knowing that I want better connection with people. Why am I doing YouTube videos now again? For that, to give, to serve. Why do I look for connection? Why do I go to certain places that have like-minded events and vibes and health things? We look for these things. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to try and keep this one short and sweet. I can't promise you I'll do that in the future. I might get deep and dive into topics. Let me know if you're interested in that kind of stuff, by the way. Put some comments below. And yeah, if you got something from this, share with me. Share what it taught you, share what it inspired in you. And let me know how you feel about me and being back as well, if you've been following my stuff or if you're new to it. It's a exciting time for me. Anyway, those three lessons. Remember, money. How important is it? It is, but how is it driving your mind? How's it limiting things, right? Number two is health. So important. Doesn't matter how long, I've been in this game of health 13, 14, 15 years maybe. Keep learning things. I keep realizing how important it is. Even at one point I was like, no, I don't need to do all this stuff, I can mess around with it a little bit. No, it's not true. It keeps being important. And then number three is connection. And that one explains itself, right? Be around like-minded people, consume people's stuff like this video that you're consuming. Stay and watch the whole video if you're interested. If you're not, don't. Same with people, right? Go and find people you're interested in and leave relationships if you're not, right? It's okay. We get to choose what we like. And we also see when we're being sparked to learn something from what we don't like. That's probably a bonus lesson that I've learned overall. Anyway, I'll leave the video there. Like I said, follow, like, share this if you found it useful, and drop some comments below. This is my return to YouTube. I'm excited to be here with you.